Hello, Internet. We're back for another episode of Weekly Auto News as I once again found enough time between 11-hour naps and binge watching Season 2 of Future Man to bring you a questionably edited version of something loosely resembling a car news show. Let's get right to it. As Elon Musk took to Twitter on Wednesday to let potential future buyers know that if they're interested in purchasing a new Model S or Model X with the lower output 75 kilowatt hour battery, or 75D as it's known, that they'd better get on top of that, as on January 14th, Tesla will no longer offer the cheapest variant of both vehicles. So, this move will effectively add $15,000 to $18,000 to the entry-level price of both cars, but you'll get a bigger battery with increased range. Also, in regards to pricing over at Tesla, this follows an announcement that the company made last week where it stated that the brand would drop its prices by $2,000 across the board in order to offset federal tax credits that went away at the end of 2018. As far as the reason for the cancellation, well, none was given, but I have a pretty good feeling it was probably to create a little bit more room between the flagship Model S and the entry-level Model 3. And the same goes for the Model X and the upcoming Model Y, which will be announced later this year. And it's also worth noting that according to Tesla, the upcoming second generation Tesla Roadster will ship with a 200 kilowatt hour battery. So maybe they also feel that a measly 75 kilowatt hours just isn't impressive enough for a modern top tier electric car. And speaking of Tesla, let's go ahead and talk about its newest EV market challenger. Because love them or hate them, it seems that every automaker who talks about switching its focus to electric vehicles seems to almost always mention Tesla in the same breath. So, no, it's not Byton or Faraday Futures or Rivian or even some other big companies that you've actually heard of like VW or Ford. It's Cadillac. That's right. Cadillac is officially shifting its focus to becoming GM's go-to for electric vehicles. The news came to us by way of a conference call that GM was having with its investors on Friday. We also learned that Cadillac will develop a new modular EV-only platform that's designed to accommodate everything from a compact car to a full-size SUV, and that the platform will be able to power any or all of the wheels, and that they're shooting for a minimum range of 300 miles. They also hope to have their first all-electric Caddies hitting the road by 2021. And as far as why they at least want to partially rebrand Cadillac, well, it wasn't revealed on the conference call necessarily, but if you want my take on it, it's probably not one single reason, but a series of things. First and foremost is the trend, especially in other parts of the world that aren't energy independent, is moving heavily towards electric vehicles. And two is that Cadillac is in something of an identity crisis at the moment, as it spent years focusing on building internationally competitive, powerful luxury cars. And just as the future started looking bright for the brand, it became increasingly clear that cars were all but going extinct in Cadillac's biggest market. Which brings me to the third reason, and that is that Cadillac can't survive on slightly upscale crossovers forever, and it seems at least someone over there knows that. Also, on that note, if they want to go that route, that's fine, but they could have bought themselves some goodwill for their new project a few years back if they hadn't decided to charge $75,000 for the ELR, which honestly wasn't a bad car by most metrics. But it was also $75,000. I mean, all right. The rest of the episode is going to be reserved exclusively for stuff that makes me happy. So we'll kick that off with the Shelby GR-1, as this car actually escaped me when it first debuted in 2004, though I do seem to remember a similar take on a Shelby Cobra from the same era. But anyway, the GR-1 was a more modern take on the iconic Daytona Coupe that was manufactured by Shelby American in 1964 and 1965. But why am I talking about a 15-year-old concept car? Well, because it's coming back as a limited run production model that will be officially licensed by Ford, thanks to the really dedicated guys over at a little place called Superformance located in Irvine, California. Production on the modern Shelbys won't begin for about 2 years, so we're really too far out at this point to get into specifics, but we do know that when questioned about the performance of the car, Superformance CEO Lance Stander said that we're shooting for a 2-second Shelby. He's got big dreams, people. Big dreams. We also know that buyers will have an option of painted, brushed aluminum, which would be my personal choice, or carbon fiber bodies. And in addition to being powered by tiny explosions brought to you by dinosaur juice, there may also be an electric variant as well. But More on that as it develops. So, if you're a fan of JDM cars, but also kind of have a thing for large sporty sedans, then check this out. Not feeling like getting shown up by a rogue with snow treads, Toyota was also at the 2019 Tokyo Auto Salon that took place last week, and they decided to bring this. What is this, you ask? Well, this is a 2019 Toyota Mark X GR-MN. The Mark X has been around for some years and is mostly sold in Asia, and yes, it shares a platform with the car that we know as the Toyota Avalon, but trust me, this is a different car. Meaning that it sports a naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6 making about 310 horsepower, which it sends to the rear wheels and is mated to a 6-speed manual transmission with a limited slip differential. And if that doesn't do it for you, the car also has a carbon fiber roof, a stiffer suspension, sport seats, traction control that you can actually turn off, and 19-inch wheels supplied by the guys over at BBS, and a good old-fashioned handbrake as well. All this can be yours for a price somewhere in the ballpark of 5.1 million yen, which actually translates to a reasonable $49,000 or so, especially if you consider the fact that Toyota is only going to make 350 of them. And now for our You Can't Have It fun fact of the day. GR-MN actually stands for Gazoo Racing, tuned by Meisters of Nürburgring. So, I guess they felt like GRTBMON just didn't flow all that well. Anyway. In the latest bit of A90 Supra news, it would appear that there's been a leak of the upcoming Toyota Supra. Again. Only this time, the leak shows the entire car. Again. So, earlier this week, the guys down at Toyota of Mexico posted a video to Twitter showing the new Supra in motion and doing Supra stuff from many different angles. And the car actually sounds pretty good. Not surprisingly, the tweet was taken down shortly thereafter, but too little too late, as that's how the internet works. Speaking of which, if you haven't seen it yet, I invite you to go check it out right here on this channel, as I posted a mirror of the video yesterday. Anyway, Toyota will be in Detroit, Michigan bright and early on Monday morning to give everybody their first official look at the new car, along with some small details like official performance numbers and, oh yeah, the price. Anyway, what I promise will be the last Toyota-related story that I cover today is the Lexus LC convertible concept that the brand will also be showing off in Detroit this week. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one, as we'll know a lot more about it soon, though scuttlebutt is that production of the car is pretty much guaranteed, and that it'll most likely only be available on the V8 LC 500 version of the car. So, that's going to wrap it up for this week's episode of Toyota and Electric Vehicle News. But be sure to keep it tuned in here this week as the Detroit Auto Show is upon us. Also, thank you so much for staying with me until the end of the video. I really appreciate that. See you guys soon.